I just really briefly wanted to go over the Pullman Strike with you all. The main takeaway for the Pullman Strike is that, similar to the railroad strike of 1877, here we're now like 20 years later, and we're going to have a same sort of conclusion to this strike, which again just kind of shows what these workers are up against. So you might remember in the railroad strike of 1877, workers realized the benefits of unified protest among workers. They went on strike, and the strike progressed all the way across the United States with the railroad strike of 1877. So the Pullman Strike is a little different, but still connected to a railroad. Pullman, a Pullman car were these really fancy railroad cars that like really only the very wealthy could afford. They basically purchased a whole railroad car, and then it would be on a train, but it would be a very fancy railroad car, like kind of like a hotel on wheels, basically. There's a huge economic decline in 1893, and so it starts to impact Pullman's business, and so he makes cuts, but and maybe speeds up production, what have you, but his workers are still being paid the same. And Pullman's workers, if you work in a Pullman factory, you have to live in a Pullman town and shop at a Pullman shop. Now the town's really nice. It has electricity, it has paved streets, but again, you have to live there and pay rent, and then you have to shop in the Pullman shops. And so one worker, as an example of how poorly they're being paid, one worker, by the time he paid his rent, shopped in the shop, or paid what he owed in the shop, he had like maybe 50 cents once he was able to get his check. Meanwhile, Pullman had a $25 million bonus in terms of profits. So again, the rich are doing really, really well, and the people that work for them are just making pennies. And so the Pullman workers decide to go on strike. And it doesn't technically impact the Pullman cars, but it doesn't impact the trains, because what happens is the workers on the train, they just take the Pullman car off the train itself and kind of like put it on the side. So the people that are in the Pullman car can't go anywhere. They're stuck. It's going to impact the Pullman cars, but the trains will still keep going. But obviously this is bad for business. So Pullman puts in a call to the president, and the president claims that the strike is disrupting the mail. And so the military is sent out, and the strike is put down. And so again, it's another example, just like with that railroad strike of 1877, where the owner kind of puts in a call to the president, and then that ends the strike. And it's a message to the workers that the government is on the side of big business, not on the side of the people. And again, we can see how long the struggle is, because here it is, 20, 30 years later, and they're still striking for the same things, and the government's still working with the big business, not with the workers themselves. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Take care.